What if the most dangerous people you'll ever meet won't come at you with a weapon, but with a smile? Imagine someone who craves admiration like oxygen, lies with surgical precision, and feels absolutely nothing when they hurt you. Not a single drop of guilt, not even a pause. Now imagine they look like a friend, a leader, a lover, charming, magnetic, almost irresistible. This isn't a horror movie villain. It's a real psychological profile, a pattern, a trio of toxic traits known as the Dark Triad: Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Alone, each is disturbing, but together, they form a personality cocktail so manipulative, so emotionally destructive, that it can dismantle careers, relationships, and even lives, without a trace of blood. These aren't just terms thrown around in pop psychology. They're rooted in decades of clinical research and real-world observation. From high-functioning CEOs and political powerhouses to scammers, cult leaders and criminals, the Dark Triad hides in plain sight. And here's the most chilling part. You've almost certainly encountered someone like this. You may even have one in your life right now. If that made your stomach drop, hit follow now. What you learn next could protect you. This episode isn't just about theory, it's a survival guide. We're going deep into the psychology of those who exploit, manipulate, and discard without remorse. You'll learn to recognize the red flags, understand how these traits reinforce each other, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. Because when charm is a weapon, empathy is your armor. Welcome to the world of the Dark Triad. The term Dark Triad sounds dramatic, almost cinematic, but it's far from fiction. It describes three deeply unsettling personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Each has its own signature form of manipulation and emotional damage. But when combined in a single person, the result is a psychological predator, calculated, cold, and devastatingly effective. What makes the Dark Triad so insidious is that these traits are often masked behind charm, success, and charisma. These individuals don't scream danger. They whisper promises. They flatter you, mirror your values, earn your trust, then exploit it. Unlike a single outburst of toxic behavior, the Dark Triad isn't about moments. It's about patterns. It's about a core personality structure that lacks empathy, craves control, and sees people as tools rather than human beings. These people don't just accidentally hurt others, they strategically do it to get ahead. And here's what's truly frightening. Many of them thrive. Some climb corporate ladders. Some gain cult-like followings. Some enter your life when you're most vulnerable and make you believe they're the answer. But behind the mask is a personality wired for manipulation, exploitation, and often destruction. This isn't paranoia. It's psychology, backed by research, observed in real life, and if you don't know what to look for, you may never see it coming until it's too late. So yes, the Dark Triad is real, and you should be afraid, at least until you understand it. Narcissism isn't just vanity or self-confidence taken too far. It's a deep psychological need, a hunger for admiration so intense, it distorts reality. At its core, narcissism is about constructing and protecting a false self, a grand, inflated image designed to win praise and avoid shame at any cost. There are two primary forms: overt narcissism, loud and boastful, and covert narcissism, quiet, fragile, and manipulative in more subtle ways. But both are rooted in the same thing: a fragile ego wrapped in armor, Narcissists crave attention like an addict craves a fix. Compliments are currency. Criticism? That's war. They react to perceived slights with rage, defensiveness, or icy revenge, not because the comment was cruel, but because it threatened the illusion of superiority. Relationships with narcissists often start with overwhelming charm. They idealize you, praise you, even love bomb you. But once you're hooked, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, you exist to reflect their greatness. Your needs disappear. Your emotions become inconvenient. And when you stop feeding their ego, they may devalue or discard you without a second thought. What makes narcissism especially dangerous is how normalized it's become. In an age of selfies and personal branding, narcissistic traits are often rewarded. But don't be fooled. True narcissism isn't confidence, it's control. It's emotional dependency masked as dominance. Narcissists don't just want to be admired, they need to be. And if you challenge that need, you risk becoming the enemy in their story. Understanding narcissism is the first step, because when you're dealing with someone who worships themselves, there's no room left for you. If narcissists crave attention, Machiavellians crave control. Rooted in the philosophy of Niccolo Machiavelli, whose infamous book The Prince outlined how to manipulate power without conscience, Machiavellianism in psychology refers to a cold, calculating personality that sees people as chess pieces, not human beings. Machiavellians don't explode. They don't cry. They plot. They are strategic, patient, and deeply manipulative. While a narcissist may brag or demand the spotlight, a Machiavellian sits in the shadows, pulling the strings. They watch. They wait. And they act when you're most vulnerable or distracted, never by accident, always by design. What makes them especially dangerous is their emotional detachment. They don't rely on feelings to make decisions, they rely on outcomes. Truth, morality, and loyalty are only tools, useful only if they serve their goals. If lying benefits them, they lie. If pretending to care wins favor, they play the part. They mimic empathy without actually feeling it. You'll often find Machiavellianism in high-pressure environments where manipulation can be rewarded, politics, law, business. But you'll also find it in personal relationships, where guilt, flattery, and silent coercion are their weapons of choice. Unlike the narcissist, the Machiavellian doesn't need to be admired. They just need to win. And they'll do whatever it takes: lie, gaslight, betray, or charm, to make sure they do. The most unsettling part, they often get away with it because they're not reckless. They're calculated, and if you've ever walked away from a situation wondering how you got played, you may have just met one. The puppet master rarely shows his strings, but he's always smiling. Imagine looking into someone's eyes and seeing nothing looking back. Not anger, not sadness, not even malice, just emptiness. That's the unsettling hallmark of psychopathy, a profound lack of empathy, remorse, or conscience. While Hollywood often paints psychopaths as deranged killers, the reality is more complex and far more dangerous. Most psychopaths don't wield knives. They wield charm, lies, and fearless confidence. They aren't driven by rage. They're driven by impulse and control, without the burden of guilt to slow them down. What makes psychopathy terrifying is its emotional vacancy. These individuals don't feel fear or remorse the way most people do. Their emotional range is shallow. They can mimic emotions, say the right things, mirror appropriate reactions. But it's all performance. Underneath, they are emotionally disconnected from the suffering they cause. They're often thrill seekers, drawn to risk, chaos, and stimulation. Rules, optional, consequences, someone else's problem. And when they hurt others, whether emotionally, financially, or physically, they do so without flinching. In relationships, a psychopath can be magnetic at first, confident, exciting, even seductive. But once their mask slips, what follows is often a pattern of deception, betrayal, and emotional devastation. They lie effortlessly, manipulate expertly, and discard people without a shred of regret. Many psychopaths end up in prison, but many don't. Some succeed in business, law, or finance, where cold decisiveness is mistaken for leadership. Their lack of empathy makes them appear efficient, powerful, even admirable. But make no mistake, behind the charm is a predator, not driven by hate or revenge, but by nothing at all. And that's what makes them truly dangerous. Individually, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy are unsettling. But when they coexist in one personality, they don't just add up. They amplify each other, creating something far more sinister. This is the Dark Triad at its most potent, a person who believes they're superior, narcissism, manipulates without remorse, Machiavellianism, and feels no empathy, psychopathy. Together, these traits form a psychological blueprint for exploitation, a walking weapon. Here's how they interact. Narcissism provides the motive, the relentless need to be admired, to dominate, to feel special. Machiavellianism provides the strategy, cold, calculated manipulation to get exactly what they want. Psychopathy provides the fuel. No guilt, no emotional breaks, no fear of consequences. The result? A person who can charm you, deceive you, and destroy you, all while thinking it's justified, or worse, not thinking about you at all. This combination makes such individuals uniquely dangerous in leadership, relationships, and social influence. They can create cult-like followings, pit people against one another, and rise to power by stepping on others without blinking. They don't just manipulate situations, they engineer them. They don't lash out emotionally, they calculate your weakness. And they don't stop when they've hurt you, they stop when you're no longer useful. And perhaps the most chilling part, the Dark Triad personality often thrives in our modern world, where confidence is praised, ruthlessness is mistaken for ambition, and superficial charm opens doors. These individuals aren't monsters in the shadows, they're often the ones holding the spotlight. The most chilling thing about the Dark Triad, you rarely see it coming. These individuals don't wear warning labels, they wear charm, confidence, and even kindness, at least on the surface. But beneath the mask lies manipulation, entitlement, and emotional detachment. The trick is learning to spot the cracks before you fall into them. A narcissist may dominate conversations, constantly redirecting attention back to themselves. They struggle with genuine empathy and may respond to your pain with annoyance or shallow platitudes. Praise feeds them, but criticism wounds them deeply and often triggers defensiveness or passive aggression. A Machiavellian might seem strategically agreeable, helpful, even generous, but their kindness has strings attached. They often mirror your values and preferences, but only to gain your trust. Watch for subtle, guilt-tripping, triangulation, pitting people against each other. and emotional debts you never agreed to owe. The psychopath? They're harder to read. They often present as calm, confident, even likable. But look closer. They lack emotional depth. Their stories may have inconsistencies, their apologies feel hollow, and their relationships are marked by control, not connection. They push boundaries, test reactions, and show no signs of remorse when caught. Individually, these signs can be subtle. Together they paint a chilling portrait. The key is this: pay attention not just to what people say, but how they make you feel. Do you feel drained, doubting yourself, or walking on eggshells? That's not just a personality clash. That might be the Dark Triad hiding in plain sight. The Dark Triad isn't just theory. It's alive in boardrooms, courtrooms, cults, and news headlines. Real people. Real destruction. Let's look at a few unsettling case studies that reveal how narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy converge in the real world. Case 1. Ted Bundy, the charming predator. Bundy was charismatic, articulate, and attractive, traits that masked a chilling truth. His narcissism was evident in his self-obsession and need for attention during his trial. His Machiavellianism appeared in his ability to manipulate victims and authorities alike, and his psychopathy, clear in the cold, calculated nature of his murders and total lack of remorse. Bundy didn't just kill, he performed. Case 2. Elizabeth Holmes, the delusional visionary. As the founder of Theranos, Holmes projected an image of brilliance and innovation. Her narcissism was visible in her grandiose vision of revolutionizing healthcare. Her Machiavellianism played out in the manipulation of investors, employees, and the media. While not a violent psychopath, her detached moral compass and disregard for the harm she caused, patients misdiagnosed by faulty tests, echoed psychopathic traits. Case 3. Jim Jones, the cult architect. Charismatic and controlling, Jones led over 900 people to their deaths in the Jonestown massacre. His narcissistic God complex demanded worship. His Machiavellian tactics isolated followers, controlled information, and enforced blind loyalty. And his psychopathy showed in the ultimate act: engineered mass suicide with chilling indifference. These aren't just outliers. They're extreme expressions of a pattern we see in less dramatic, but equally damaging in forms every day. The lesson: not all monsters look like monsters. Some wear lab coats, lead movements, or promise to change the world. But behind the facade lies the triad: charm, manipulation, and the absence of a soul. Here's the disturbing truth: the Dark Triad doesn't repel us, it attracts us. These individuals are often confident, articulate, and magnetic. They know how to read people quickly and present exactly what you want to see. At first glance, they seem like leaders, lovers, visionaries. We mistake their arrogance for strength, their manipulation for intelligence, their emotional coldness for calm under pressure. But it's not chemistry. It's calculated. Narcissists seduce us with flattery and grandiosity. Machiavellians lure us in with trust-building and subtle persuasion. Psychopaths captivate us with fearlessness and intensity. And once they've hooked us, emotionally, sexually, financially, they begin to twist the dynamic. They mirror our desires, gain our trust, and then gradually rewrite the rules. You find yourself compromising, second-guessing, trying to earn their affection or approval. This isn't love, it's psychological warfare. What makes it so effective is that they exploit our deepest human needs: connection, validation, belonging. We're drawn to the illusion until it becomes a trap. The Dark Triad doesn't overpower you with force. They make you open the door. Once you're caught in the web of a Dark Triad personality, escape can feel impossible. But it's not. Awareness is your first weapon. Boundaries are your second. Start by trusting your instincts. If something feels off, if someone seems too charming, if praise quickly turns into pressure, if you're constantly confused or doubting yourself, pay attention. Manipulation thrives in ambiguity. Set firm boundaries and enforce them. These individuals will test your limits, push past your no, and exploit your empathy. You must learn to say no without guilt, and mean it. Avoid trying to change or fix them. Dark Triad personalities don't want healing. They want control. The more you give, the more they'll take. If you're in a personal relationship, document behavior, confide in trusted people, and consider professional help. If it's at work, create distance, limit interactions, and protect your reputation. Finally, learn to spot love bombing, gaslighting, and emotional blackmail, the signature tactics they use to keep you close. Escaping their influence isn't weakness, it's clarity. Remember, you're not crazy, you're being controlled. And the moment you recognize that, you've already begun to break free. The Dark Triad isn't just out there, it's in here, in all of us. We like to believe evil wears a mask, walks differently, or speaks in a certain tone. But the truth is, narcissism, manipulation, and coldness live on a spectrum, and anyone under pressure or pain can lean into the dark. The goal isn't to fear everyone, it's to understand what hides behind the smile, because when we recognize the darkness in others and acknowledge the shadows within ourselves, we gain the one thing the Dark Triad can't weaponize: self-awareness, and that might just save us. We've seen what happens when ego, manipulation, and emotional detachment combine into a single, predatory personality. But what if harm wasn't just a means to an end? What if hurting others was the reward? In our next episode, we confront the fourth and darkest trait of all, the one that enjoys your suffering: sadism. Thanks for watching. See you on the next episode.